Welcome to Proverbs 31 Creatives. My name is Brianna Coleman. I'm so excited for this new chapter in my walk with the Lord. My goal with this podcast is to encourage other women to grow their creativity, entrepreneurship, finances, life, health, and most importantly, grow closer to Jesus. I'll be having conversations with guests with anointed women in faith and learning right along with you. Are you ready to start your journey to become the creative Proverbs 31 woman you've always wanted to be? All right, let's go. Hello and welcome to Proverbs 31 Creatives. I'm your host, Brianna Coleman. And can we just take a second to realize that this is even happening right now? I feel like I never even post on Instagram, yet the Lord called me to start a podcast. If that's even an idea of what the Lord has done in my life in the past year and a half, I don't know what else does. Did I have this on my 2024 radar? No. Did I have this on my 2024 bingo card? Absolutely not. But I also believe that is the beauty of the Lord, is that once He has your yes, sometimes you don't even know what your life is going to look like once you are fully surrendered to Him. There's so much alignment going on right now in the kingdom, and honestly, I just have to be obedient. I believe we were born for such a time as this, and yes, that was an Esther reference. If you have read the book of Esther, amazing, phenomenal. I love that book. It's probably my favorite book in the Bible. If you have not read the book of Esther, go ahead and read that now. It's 10 chapters, and Esther's story will be coming up a lot in this podcast. There's so much theology that we can pull from that, even in 2024. But a little bit about me. My name is Brianna. I'm 25 years old, living in Cincinnati, Ohio. My husband and I moved back to Cincinnati in October of 2023, which that is a testament in itself. I was living in St. Pete Beach, Florida for 6 years with my now husband, and the Lord called us back to Cincinnati. I'm married to my best friend, who is a gem of a human. He is my absolute rock and support system. I'm a creative entrepreneur. I'm building a social media agency day by day, and I'm so proud of BC Visual Solutions. In December 2022, I actually rededicated my life to the Lord after a battle of anxiety, depression, alcohol, new age, hustle culture. That was a wild ride that I do not recommend, and I'm actually going to be going into my full testimony next episode. But fast forward to today, I'm on fire for the Lord like never before, building out my brand. I'm actually on a holistic health journey, which, yes, we will be talking about because I am a wellness junkie. I love all things holistic health. And I will be diving deeper into all of this into future episodes, but I wanted to give a little introduction before we really get started. The download to actually start this podcast came in February of this year. I went to a conference in Chattanooga, Tennessee, hosted by Redemption to the Nations Church, which, if you're unfamiliar, I will definitely be putting their YouTube channel link in the show notes, as well as a YouTube channel notes and things like that. Pastor Devin Wallace and Bishop Kevin Wallace are absolutely phenomenal. I feel like I've been a sponge to them these last couple of months. Their worship is absolutely incredible. The Sunday sermons are amazing. They're just so anointed and filled with the Holy Spirit. But I was at this conference, and it's called Wild Ones. If you're unfamiliar, it is a high school college conference. I was a little reluctant, I'm going to be honest, if I even wanted to go or needed to go. And so I prayed about it, and I said, God, should I go? And He really spoke to me, and He said, yes, it's college and high school, but I'm still technically Gen Z. I am one of the older Gen Z. 1997 is the first year of being Gen Z. These last couple months, the Lord has actually been stirring my heart for this next generation and standing up and leading and serving, and what that looks like to lead this next generation to have their eyes turned toward Jesus. So night one of the conference, Pastor Jabin Chavez out of Las Vegas spoke, and he spoke about the filling of the Holy Spirit, how the Holy Spirit is our helper. His sermon was amazing. But towards the end, he gave an altar call, and he asked Pastor Devin to pray for young ladies who feel like they're being called into ministry, called for speaking, to be pastors in that realm, right? So immediately I was caught off guard, because remember when you accepted Jesus and you got that stirring in your spirit of, hey, you need to do this? That's exactly what was happening to me in this moment. I started praying about it. I said, God, what does this look like? That's not me. I was a little confused, to be honest. I feel like I was stumbling on my words, because that was something that caught me so off guard. And I'm like, God, I started wrestling with the Lord. I said, God, this is not me. I'm not a senior pastor. I don't want to be a pastor. I have my business. What does this look like? And so if I'm going to be honest with you, I disobeyed, and I did not go up to the front. And I sat there and I kind of wrestled with the Lord. And then I promise, not even 3 minutes later, a leader in my life, a person that is a mentor to me, came up to me and confirmed exactly what I was feeling. It's funny how the Lord does that, right? But she said, "Girl, I don't know if you're going to start speaking. I don't know if you're being called into ministry. I'm not sure exactly what this looks like, but this is how I'm feeling." And I told her, I said, "The Lord's speaking to me right now about this same thing. So clearly there's something that He wants me to do." Once I got home, I really started praying about this and I asked God, I said, "What does this look like? If this is something that you're calling me to, you have my yes, but Lord, I need your guidance and I need you to show me everything step by step because you know I cannot do this by myself. This is going to be all you right now." But I believe that's exactly how God works. He's never actually going to give you something that you can handle by yourself. He's going to give you something that you have to rely on Him in order for things to come to fruition. When He gives you a goal, a dream, a vision, and you get so overwhelmed and you're like, "God, how is this going to work? This is way bigger than me. How is this even going to happen?" When you start to have those moments, that's when you realize that this is a God-given dream. Obviously, pray about it and ask God for confirmation, but God is never going to give you something that you can handle yourself. He's going to give you something that you have to have Him right by your side and rely on His strength and not your own. Before I go into how I actually got the name for the podcast, I'm actually going to read Proverbs 31, and I'll be reading from the New King James Version. That's New King James is what I grew up with. I also have friends that are ESV readers, Amplified readers, so you read whatever speaks most to you. I'm going to be starting at Proverbs 31:10. Who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband safely trusts her, so he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and willingly works with her hands. She is like the merchant ships, she brings her food from afar. She also rises while it is still night and provides food for her household and a portion for her maidservants. She considers a field and buys it. From her profits she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good and her lamp does not go out by night. She stretches out her hand to the distaff and her hands hold the spindle. She extends her hand to the poor, yet she reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household is clothed with scarlet. She makes tapestry for herself. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies sashes for the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the law of kindness. She watches over the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many daughters have done well, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful, and beauty is passing, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. To me, this is the perfect definition of a godly woman. She takes care of her household, she takes care of her husband, she takes care of her kids. In verse 16, she considers a field and buys it. From her profits, she plants a vineyard. Hello, she's an entrepreneur. So anyone that tells you that being an entrepreneur is not a ministry, it absolutely is, especially when you give God glory in the midst of you building your business. She's financially responsible. She's resourceful. But most importantly, she fears the Lord with her whole heart and leans on Him for understanding. So the name Proverbs 31 Creatives actually came when I was walking my dog, who has since passed. We love Otis. But I was walking my dog one day, and since I do work for myself, I feel like sometimes I can get pretty lonely. There are a lot of days that I work from home. And sometimes being in the creative space, I feel like can feel really draining. Just like any career, if you aren't filling up your cup, eventually that cup is going to run empty and there's nothing that is going to come out of it. Through my process of moving back to Cincinnati, the Lord really started placing women in my life that were so creative. They're entrepreneurial, they're business-minded, they are in the creative space. They're singers, copywriters, dancers, photographers, content creators. There's so much creativity. There's so many women that are in the creative space that have such a fire for the Lord. So one day when I was walking my dog, I was actually about to put a group chat together for my friends. And of course, you always have to put a title on your group chat name. And when I went to put this group chat name together, immediately Proverbs 31 Creatives came into my spirit. immediately the Lord started downloading to me that this was more than just a group chat name. This is a community of women that are so on fire for the Lord, that are so creative, who want to grow closer to the Lord, but also steward their craft. And just like that, Proverbs 31 Creatives was born. Like I said, I'm so excited to start this community and grow with you guys. There is so much that's going to be talked about on this podcast. Things like business, entrepreneurial, creativity, holistic health. We are all here for such a time as this to use our God-given talents and abilities for God's kingdom. I look forward to going on this journey with you guys. The podcast will be filmed as well as recorded. So if you like podcasts on YouTube better, you can watch it on YouTube. I will have the YouTube channel link down in the show notes of the podcast. If you're listening to it, the podcast will be available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. And share this with a friend, share this with the Proverbs 31 Creatives, and I cannot wait to meet you guys and grow this community. Thank you so much for listening to my first episode. The best is yet to come. Have a great rest of your week.